Hi, hello, and welcome to the 1111 Divine Lovers series brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess Ablosi. I'll be your oracle today, and I was sent to deliberate the findings over the divine partnership, more the elevated, ascended part of the spectrum at the higher vibration. So it would be more dharmic, meaning the karma's been purified. Also, it has to deal more with soulmates and twin flame than it does catalytic, than it does karmic, than it does distorted. It also has to deal with the seeding of cycles more so than the culmination, the completion, the purging of cycles. I'm just going to go ahead and check in with the intuition. I do want to apologize. It seems here that the gate's been closed for a little bit. The oracles haven't come and talked to the collective, talked to the public, talked to the channel here, especially about this cycle. It's definitely tardy to the party, definitely late. I'm here recording on Thursday, basically the 24th. It was opening on the 6th, this cycle, when the moon became new in Pisces. There was a prompting somewhere around then, obstacles, conflicts, challenges, conundrums, crossings were abound. So for all intents and purposes, the cycle begins, commences, the energy hits upon the earth around the 2nd of March, 2022, and it will culminate, terminate around the 2nd of April. Now, energy resonates at different levels, at different frequencies for different people. So there is the energy hitting the earth, the dates that I'm using. There is the energy bearing upon the physical, the dates that I'm using. But if 6 months from now, you pick up this reading and it resonates, that's still the cycle working out for you. I don't really run with cycles that were channeled or transmitted 18 to 25 plus months ago. Once I hit the 29-month barrier, the efficacy goes below 3%. It has other uses. A student, take that to heart right now. A viewer, a watcher, use it as you would. We're going to go ahead and go more medicine focused, medicine based. And if you're curious about things that are happening, especially when it comes to the spreads being used, what is going on? Or the interpretation, the encoding, the decoding, any types of lessons, any types of promotions, any information, it's all in the show notes. If it's not there and it was mentioned, it's just not time. Continue watching, continue checking the show notes. Future transmissions will probably incorporate things that are said in the past. If anything ever resonates with you, you can always email oracle@vertexofabundance.org. There are other emails, but that's the one for the channel here in terms of just being a member of the public, a person, a part of the collective, even a viewer of the channel. That covers most of the housekeeping. Why don't we go ahead and get in here? As always, the divine masculine energy right now will be further away from the camera. Closer to the camera will be the divine feminine. I do have a little bit of astrology out here in case it comes up. And yeah, let's close that out. So something's come forward here. We do have something. It's the timing of it. It's shown up. The timing of it is here. It's approached us. It's come towards us. Well suited to channel, be the vessel for that. See if everything closes. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of opening. So the messages are clean and clear in terms of it's time to move this through. Normally, the divine partnership assessment is done for the collective around the new moon. Of course, you know, it ebbs and flows, it comes and goes. However, there is a little bit of a blueprint, let's say that way. And it's the same with the karmic energy. The revolving door is usually cast for the collective around the full moon. So that's the nitty and the gritty. This is working me already. Great. Excellent. So I've already prayed, and I didn't do any singing, but I've already prayed. And of course, I'll always ask the angel, by the angel, bring down the heavenly spirit upon us. Open and consecrate this space for sacred healing and sacred living of spiritual principles, spiritual teachings, spiritual community. We ask you for divine protection in this hour so that we may reach and achieve towards divine perfection. Again, we ask for divine protection in this hour so that we may reach for divine perfection. We're going to go ahead and open the energies for the beloved twin flame energy. I'm going to commence and preside over a divine partnership assessment. And we have this marking of the cycle. In Virgo, the moon was new in Pisces, excuse me. The moon was new in Pisces. I'm thinking of the karmic energy. The moon was new in Pisces. Pisces, step forward, please. Okay, so bring up this ascending energy. We do have the need to okay, well, all I'm getting right now is individuality, individualism. Okay. I'm getting that very strongly. Individuality, individualism. I made a mistake here. Okay, rectified. Okay, this month is intense in terms of progress, change, shifting. I'm going to move the camera, don't be alarmed. Okay, so let's go ahead and shuffle Pisces in here. All right, so we have this energy out. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so we have this energy out. We enter into the cycle. Being guided into understanding and awareness, maybe even a fulfillment of practical understanding, intellect, knowledge of this connection. It may not be together in the physical, it may not be at a physical union. What it would be is that there's an appreciation and gratitude for whatever's gone down and for the sake of the connection itself. Appreciation, intellectual appreciation. Also, I'm hearing the word resignation. We're resigned to what this connection is for whatever reason, however it is. Now, we're entering into the cycle with moving into the energy that it would take to manifest this connection. I did hear the word legacy building, but at this point right now, it's an attachment to the fact that this connection exists and that it has something viable to it. It's almost as if we're opening up the cycle, being guided back into or being guided into this connection. So I'm not seeing any newness here. I'm hearing like a reseeding. It's almost like Cupid's arrow has to strike you a second time for the same mark, for the same person, or for the same purpose. Because I'll say this better in another way, but right now, in this video, transmission, you know, if you're really in the 1111 Divine Lovers series, if that's for you, truly, you're already in a union with the divine. You're already in love with the beloved. God already loves you. And of course, there's a form that God takes on. It's not the same for everybody. That's your devotion to the goddess. There's an attribute that God incarnates. There's a way that you'll see all the time. Your third eye has a certain frequency. That's not the same for everybody. There's a lot more attributes or God or spiritual energy than there is the goddess or esoteric energy. There's few forms the spirit takes on. There's many attributes the spirit has. So you're already in a connection. There's something alive in you that really is in a great union with the divine. And the divine may anchor into the physical through a member of the soul group. So you're already in a spiritual union, but it may become a physical union. And oftentimes they'll visit us many times before they really come to be with us, spirit, the beloved, okay? And they'll get us at different times when we have to go through different healings, and oftentimes that won't happen. So you may meet your perfect person and you may not be able to be with them. And see, it becomes karmic when you're trying to make it something other than what it is. You can be like, I'm called in your direction. I recognize myself in your eyes. I recognize you. It's not so much about getting to know you so much as it is remembering who I already know you to be. Meaning that past lifetime connection. For whatever reason, you can meet your twin, you can meet your soulmate, and you may not be able to be with them. And if you try to be with them, you try to force it, it becomes karmic. If the way the energy is reconciling, it's better to, and it's not a decision you make, you're either going to be attracted or repelled. There's always an initial catalytic tower moment, a recognition, some kind of explosion, combustion, chemistry. And sometimes y'all can heal together, sometimes y'all can't. When y'all can't heal together and you're trying to heal together, it's karmic. Or if one person's healing and the other person isn't, it's karmic. Deal with the energy as it comes up, because that means you're growing into the divine. Is when you try to force something that your human, your lower self is pushing God out, pushing the higher self out. Okay, so that's everything that's being said, because the 10s, they're usually encoded. So I'm hearing a lot of encoding of, I'm hearing Thoth, Tahuti, I'm hearing all of that right now. And see, Mercury, Tahuti, Thoth, that's the energy of the divine being, incarnate, utilizing the halls of the Akasha through consciousness experience. Then you have the divine feminine, which is that pure, what's called effulgent, everlasting love, but it is conditional, meaning according to the consciousness experience, they're always going to want to feel good. They're always going to want to make things great, yield. But you see, in order to have bounty, you need to yield to said bounty, meaning there's a certain way to get the land to give you something back. Because sometimes that soil will not bear fruit. Sometimes it's not fertile ground. So there's an ebb and flow. Mercury is the energy combining, people disagree, my colleagues disagree. Mercury is the energy combining Mars and Venus. Mars and Venus together is Mercury in terms of consciousness experience. Alchemically, it's different. Alchemically, it is Venus and the sun is Mercury. But In terms of consciousness experience, Mercury is the combination of drives and desires and the ability to strike that will upon the universe. Because Jupiter is the sun and moon. So these are the two neuter. For some reason, this is coming through. I know that message is not going to hit everybody. Some will get lost in that. Others, it'll unlock something. But I do want to say, we enter into this cycle, getting all this out the way. It's like we're being guided back, if not into this connection, into knowledge, understanding, and appreciation of this connection. And if we're not guided back into this connection, a new person will manifest once we release, because that is what the challenge is. We enter into the cycle, being guided back to this connection, regardless if it's a physical union or not. And we leave the cycle striking our will, taking a stand, but internal, meaning we're going to hold on to our own individuality. We're going to get to higher ground according to our own unique self, where it's almost a willful refusal to compromise. And you see, compromise and sacrifice are two different. When you compromise, it's almost like you do less of something. When you sacrifice, you do more of something, but you achieve less physical and more spiritual. A compromise, you receive more physical, but less spiritual. So this is a sacrifice. We enter in this cycle, being guided back to this connection. We leave the cycle meeting to get to higher ground. Karma. So whatever happens, this is karmic. Now, all soulmate connections, twin flame, karmic, distorted, or otherwise, is karmic. All soulmates are karma, period. But the challenge, the crossing, the conflict, the conundrum, the crossing here, there's an overstanding here that needed to be come around to. But there was a full passage accessible, available to this connection here. It wasn't utilized, not adequately. And there is a need to confront healing, illumination, enlightenment. There was a lot that needed to come to light that was already present, already open, already accessible. It was like the energy to allow spirit to come through, pull through. There was a lot of mind and physical and flesh. What do I mean by that? I don't know. The lower intelligence won out for a long while. And I'm hearing pattern recognition. Things were getting triggered, triggers. Yeah, exacting appreciation, recognition. I'm hearing there was a lot of, you should be doing this, or it should be like this, you know. Mislabeling, misjudging, misperceiving, applying meaning, not seeking meaning. So for whatever reason, okay, I'm getting a lot, and I'm just trying to see the common denominator here. It was very clear that the masculine needed to erect themselves in a firm, stable, consistent way. And their insides were always consistent, but the outsides kept changing a lot because of the type of conflict, the type of trauma, the type of obstacle, the type of karma kept evolving. The situation had a shape-shifting element to it. So when the outsides are all over the place, you have to go alive inside and be firm. And when your insides are all over the place, you have to use the outside as a guide or a witness, usually a witness, something to reflect back. And then you also need to have something that's indestructible alive inside, and that's your own witness, the ability to observe from a neutral, detached, and observant place. The ability to show up, and that's called consciousness experience. Most humans' consciousness experience is that of having an understanding, not an understanding or overstanding. They're at the whim and whimsy of a global secret, of some type of controller, colonizer, and their energetics of mastery is disproportionate to their reality, meaning they don't control their mind and they don't control their body. They're sustainable, susceptible to stimuli, meaning they can be puppet. They're a really easy mark for psyops, meaning if you get them in a chair and torture them, they're gonna reveal everything in 30 minutes. They don't have any grit, any backbone. They're weak or weaselly. And I'm trying to use some word that's not offensive. I'm just going through the diatribe here. There's no backbone, chutzpah, right? It's limp pickle, disappointing. So, and it's their backbone, their character, the actual nature of a man is disappointing. I'm saying man as in human, not man as in male gender. So something in the past was lost as well. Because there was some type of expectation that became a premeditated resentment. There is also the energy here of a spontaneous healing. So if there was healing already that was intentional, the spontaneous healing would also be suddenly an opinion that what we had once arrived at, a conclusion that we had once arrived at, a decision that we had once taken. It gets called back up for review with us out even calling it. And the review, it's a reversal. A secret comes out, a truth is revealed. We have an epiphany of some kind from something having to deal with the past. Most particularly with a person, we have 2 5s here, we have 2 10s. So there's the culmination and completion, and there is also some kind of soul tie and conflict. Now it's a petty conflict. But it's systemic and it has to deal with the foundations of this connection. Because there were agenda and there were egos. You know what I was getting before is that the feminine was trying to control the masculine. And it's not always an overt do this or else kind of deal. Control. Control could also be some type of manipulation or enticement. You know, I'm going to say it this way, and I'm more feminine in my nature than masculine. So forgive me. you know, it's not uncommon for the feminine energy to use their emotions, guilting, expectations, things of that nature to get the man to do certain things. And typically, what the men will do is just withdraw themselves, and that usually gets the feminine to do certain things. So, what was happening was the masculine was very kind of like, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. And I will make compromises, but they're compromises in my behaviors, not in who I am as a person. I won't be compromising my character, I'll be compromising my behavior. And the feminine was like, why are you this way? Why are you that way? Or why can't you this? Or why can't you that? Or and see, there was applying meaning and not seeking meaning. There was mislabeling, misjudging, misperceiving. There was listening with the intent to respond, not. So that's agendas, that's control, that's manipulation. I'm not saying manipulation, which can be a lot more malignant and intentional. Some of this is just low vibrations, you know, an immature version of our future self. Okay. And that's what the third dimension is. It's all these constructs of conditioning and programming, which are not in alignment with our authentic self. Once we leave the third dimension, whatever that conditioning program, it won't work. It'll only block. It's a closed road, a roadblock, a speed bump. It's not an open road. It's not a wide open highway. There was this individuality in the masculine that threatened the feminine. It caused some sadness because the feminine probably perceived either the word no, they received some kind of rejection in a way that broke up the connection. So the masculine probably said no, or I don't want, and the feminine probably felt rejected. Not like I'm getting the feminine. The feminine thinks the masculine left them. And in reality, the masculine never let go, never even intended to say I'm leaving or feign that kind of behavior. The feminine took it that way. That was not what the masculine thought. The masculine was holding on to their sense of self. And how the feminine perceived that was, you don't want me. Because the sacrifice to be made is the masculine's going to have to pull through again, and the feminine's going to have to accept contentment. Because the challenge for the feminine is going to be having to look at the same connection from a different set of eyes, because the wherever the feminine has arrived in their conclusion about this connection is incorrect. The masculine might need to get a little bit hot, heated, not aggressive, not angry, but forceful or charismatic. It's different stuff for different folks. Because energy could be look like anger to one person and charisma to another person. But you see, what happened is the masculine was under some kind of exile because they weren't going to lose track of who they were, and whatever happened made the feminine put bad and negative terms and labels on the masculine. Basically like a negative judgment that forces you to have to leave. There's the word dispersals come up twice. When the 5 of Cups comes up, it could talk about the changes that come from loss or the consequences that have to deal from a change of something. And consequence normally has a negative connotation. Here it does because there's multiple 5, so that means disharmony and discord and chaos. And you see the chaos was early on with the feminine and later on with the masculine. So this is something that the feminine did to the masculine. The masculine sustained a wound from the feminine, and the masculine, okay, so, you know, person A acts, person B responds. Sometimes person A is like, oh my gosh, Why could you do such a thing? Why me? Poor me. And all person B was doing is responding. And you know what? Like sometimes person A cannot see themselves or cannot factor in some kind of information or a shift in judgment perception even. It's not about right or wrong. Really what it is one person is inflicting something upon another person out of ignorance or selfishness, and then the language and the labels get a lot more malignant after that. The ignorance is rather benign. So the feminine inflicted something on the masculine because the feminine wanted to see something in a certain way. You know, this is how you're gonna love on me. This is how you're gonna approach me. This is how you're gonna flirt with me. How you're gonna court me. How you're gonna get me. Yeah, you could have self-worth and value and a level of respect, meaning your boundaries need to be respected, your standards need to be met. But wanting somebody to be a certain way, that's another story. Okay. And so the masculine didn't even perceive most of these things until the end, because what's going on with the masculine is now they're suddenly beginning to realize, oh, I was just being individual and unique, but actually that was a bit naive because I could have been individual and unique and understand that people did it the way they were trying to get me to do it and just been more playful or navigated that better. So the masculine is realizing that they needed to navigate and negotiate this connection better. And the feminine is realizing that they needed to show up and participate and be present better. It's the same thing, the same energy for both of them, but they're perceiving it in a different way. So the energy hitting the feminine has to deal with her participation and presence. The energy hitting the masculine has to deal with their, not his, their navigation, negotiation. Now, it's not so clear here, it's not so strong, I should say, but I'm also detecting that the masculine, they were doing things a certain way. And there should have been more flexibility in shifting or filling out. The masculine needs to learn how to read the room. The feminine needs to know how to separate the person from the behavior. That yes, 2 + 2 = 4, but so does 1 + 3. So does 13 plus -9. You all arrive at the integer of 4. There's just different paths to get to the same destination. Different roads might lead to the same neighborhood. But once this thing gets confronted, because it's a subconscious thing that rises to the surface. And also the feminine was placing certain needs before other needs, and whatever they prioritized in terms of thing to focus on and to dwell about the feminine, it was not, no, no, no. I'm also just the way it really manifested was like they might have been a bundle of nerves, or they might have been sacrificing a part of themselves. They were just dealing with this constant, consistent, chronic sadness. Expectations are premeditated resentments. All you can have is your standards and boundaries. Basically, everything else is just a level of pickiness that you're really going to need to have in and of your own self. It's not okay to nitpick another person, to tear them down so that you can feel better. If you're wanting a person to be less, to have less in order for you to feel safe and comfortable, that's not healthy. It might even be toxic. You could also say, you know, I'm having these experiences. This is what's alive in me. Can we dialogue? Can we compromise? So whatever you feel, it's not the other person's. You need to be an emotional adult. Nobody can make you feel anything. They cannot make you feel better than or less than. They can provide stimuli in the environment that's either pleasing or displeasing. But again, being pleased or displeased, it's a choice. Now, of course, it's stimuli in the environment, and you're going to react or respond to stimuli in the environment. Somebody can give you $1 million check, and it could infuriate you. Another person could ask you to give away your life savings, and nothing in the world would make you happier. It's all according to perspective. And so believing that another person's going to understand your perspective or going to agree with your perspective, that's illogical. It's futile endeavor. It's foolish. It will be fruitless. The thing to do is to say to yourself, okay, I had this experience. It left me with these feelings. These feelings inform my experience, and I know I don't want to experience it like this again. That means walking out of this experience, I have these needs. Okay, now, if you're in a union with another person, place, or thing, they are probably going to want to contribute to what's alive in you. They're going to want to leave you better than they found you. That means they're probably going to want to, if not help you meet your needs, at least hold space for you to get your needs met. Meaning they're not going to want to act in direct opposition or adversarially to you getting your needs met. Again, if your feelings matter, they're irrelevant. Meaning, if your feelings are relevant, they cannot be applied. And when your feelings are not relevant, they may be applied. What does that mean? When you need to apply your feelings to a situation, they become irrelevant. And when your feelings, for whatever reason, are relevant, they can't be applied to the situation. Meaning you don't go to the situation and say, I'm going to do this because I feel this way. And when you do go into a situation and you're like, well, I feel this way, therefore, whatever you feel is irrelevant. It always is what's after that. Now, let me explain again. Again, I'll just repeat. Your feelings inform your experience. Meaning your needs either got met or didn't get met. And your needs are the only thing you communicate to the other person, place, or thing, to the other party. The only thing you communicate are your needs. You don't communicate your feelings, especially right as you take a decision or in a moment of anger, all those things. You have to be really calm and be building rapport, building connection, deepening intimacy, furthering trust when you share your feelings. You cannot be in that compromise, sacrifice, dialogue place where you're working and fixing. In that space, you don't share your feelings, or you share your feelings in past tense. You know, I have this need now because I had this feeling back then, and I don't want to go through that again. And the person can't be sitting there saying, oh, well, you shouldn't be feeling like that, or why do you feel? No, oh, I'm sorry you didn't get that need met. How can we make sure that happens in the future? It's all about needs. A relationship, a union, you seek sanctuary and refuge there. When there isn't sanctuary or refuge there, you need to have trust to know that you can quickly move back to harmony. And harmony isn't about agreeing or everything being fine. It's that you can still take sanctuary and refuge in that union. If you can't go into that union, feel safe to have your feelings, to have your thoughts, and then not have the other person judge them, or to not be responsible for how another person feels, that's all that karmic, distorted, revolving door love. It's not the 1111 twin flame divine partnership love. That's that basic Becky soulmate shit, and it's not the higher evolved. Okay. So yeah, a person can do something really horrible to you, and however you feel, they can't make you feel better than or less than. However you feel is you and your problem. You can say, hey, I need a person that I'm in a relationship with to be consistent or to be stable or to keep their commitment or to honor their word. For instance, if somebody cheats, cheating is an agreement that you make. So when you leave, you're leaving because the person not because the person cheated. You're leaving because the person didn't keep their agreements, and you, however you feel, it's easier for you to heal outside than it's inside. People are called together for a reason. They either grow together or they grow apart. And see, if you are in alignment with yourself, you can accept what's outside, because you're going to call in the person that reflects to you who you are inside. Okay. So we're moving into this place now where both of them have self-worth and value. The masculine was under attack, and it was by the feminine. The feminine was exploring the depths of her subconscious, and her own spirit was attacking the masculine. It wasn't intentional. Both parties now are moving into self-worth and value, which means they have a better understanding of who they are and why they're here, basically their true nature, their true purpose. However, this is more karmic at this point than it is divine. I mean, the soulmate connection came out, the feminine connection came out. We don't have the masculine, we don't have the twin flame here. But the masculine knows who they are, and they're not compromising that. And they received a lot of retribution for holding their ground, and they weren't doing it in a toxic way. They were just being true to their own nature, which was actually very divine and very spiritual. This is some high energy, pharaonic energy, actually. But it also, the judgment card also means recognition of the true nature, recognition of your eternal self, your authentic nature, your true purpose. Okay, that's also the judgment card. All right, because the feminine has all these drives, desires, but they're imposing it upon the connection. They need to detach from how things come together. It's okay to want whatever you want, but when you attach to how, if you say, if you're calling in a wealthy man from the universe, great. Maybe this wealthy man doesn't have $1 million. Maybe they have $10 million. Does that make sense? If you're calling in a tall man, great. Maybe he's 6'8", not 6'2". Does it make sense? So this person has the feminine is very, we're also getting, they need to work on their self-worth and value. They're prostituting themselves. It might not be trading themselves for money, but they're sacrificing the right now they're sacrificing the forever for right now. That could be impulsiveness, aggressiveness, consistently staying in a situation deteriorates your self-worth and value. It's placing material considerations and security above self-empowerment, self-improvement. So the feminine also should probably pray to their ancestors. Both obviously should do that, but I'm saying like the ancestors really need to guide this queen out of whatever darkness, because this connection here is destined. It was, okay, there we go. It was in alignment, it was written in the stars, and then here it is. I'm trying not to define destiny, and it's coming through, and then now we have the destiny card. Okay, 3 destiny cards. Boy. So this connection is something about healing. Yeah. Listen, this is going to be hard to accept. we're always told if you really love something, let it go. If it comes back for sure, that's how you know. Let go of your expectations. Let go of listen, there's something alive inside the feminine that is really blocking. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. Whatever's going on, I'm not saying that you're wrong. It's not the matter you are addressing so much as it is the manner in which you address it. It's not whatever you're upset about, it's how you're going about what you're upset about. It's destroying a lot. There needs to be a triumph over evil, and unfortunately, it's all on your side. There's this internal microaggression. It's almost emotional warfare. And it's not overtly striking or launching blows, it's having an emotional disposition that is retaliatory. And it might not be overt, external. You might be ruminating, plunging into the depths, melancholy. It could be doing things such as sending your spirit to attack his. I'm not saying that's intentional. It could be something as simple as blocking more future blessings. So however this energy, this emotional rumination, it's shifting, it's healing, it's just dispersing. External reflection with the masculine, internal reflection with the feminine. Healing needs to come to both of them because there's some central idea. There's a way forward, knowledge to utilize. There's guidance. There needs to be individual. They both need to know who they are and be able to survive on their own before they can survive together. It is not about not going with this person, going with another person. It's not about going with this person versus another person. It's about understanding spiritual principles on the masculine side and soul's wisdom on the feminine side. Because there needs to be insight, spiritual perspective, boundlessness. On the feminine, they really need insight, soul's wisdom, and spiritual perspective. The masculine is just going to continue to heal, continue to heal, continue to evolve. This masculine has pharaonic bloodlines. I heard Melchizedek twice, and I see it very clearly here. So why don't we pull a Rumi oracle here? There's too many expectations on the feminine side, and they have this lack of self-worth and value, or wanting, hoping, wishing, praying, yearning. It's almost like they emotionally throw themselves at the masculine so that they can get some kind of confirmation, validation, affirmation. It's validation seeking. There also is some kind of sexual malfeasance I'm picking up on. See, normally I don't get this, and this is why I do this closer to the new moon, because the energy is a lot cleaner. We're also getting karmic energies here, but I also get that the connection is coming back together soon. You're not already in physical union, there needs to be a perspective shift on the feminine side. The feminine needs to get the wool pulled out from over her eyes. Stuck on stupid, girlfriend. Now the masculine, They can be a little scary, but the fear, the fear is on the feminine side. The fear is on the feminine side. So the feminine is a scaredy cat or gets triggered. Now they may have unhoned spiritual abilities and they might just be catching a lot of subtle energy, because also it's just the masculine has immense power, and I don't even think they're using it on the feminine. I just think that whenever the feminine comes up across it, it scares them. There's some fear the feminine has. Now, there could have been some feigned rejection, and I'm not saying going through the motions of rejecting the other person, but perceived because of an action that the masculine prostrated, that the feminine took as rejection, and that's not what the masculine meant or intended to say. It was a miscommunication, if you will. The feminine is going through a lot of release, a lot of difficult healing. The difficult healing is on the feminine side. The masculine is actually touched by spirit right now. They were terrifying in the beginning, but it was a perspective. They weren't a beast because the devil didn't even come out on their side. It was just that they were unfuckwithable, excuse my language. The feminine tried some shit, excuse my language. I gotta get ratchet hood for a minute. The feminine was trying some shit with the masculine was not even going on. And see, the masculine didn't even know half the time, a majority of the time, that the feminine was coming at them with some witchy woo ways, trying to pop something, trying to do something, bust something. And you see, however, whatever, the feminine, how she came through wasn't going to work. And that's how the masculine was. The masculine was not consciously aware of this. The masculine was just holding their ground, standing in what they understood themselves to be. The masculine was doing too much fighting off people's opinions about who they were, not even recognizing what the feminine was doing. And the feminine might not have even been open and forthcoming with whatever it is they wanted something from the masculine. They didn't get, they felt something about the masculine that wasn't reciprocated, and the feminine might not even been sharing it. What it is the feminine is the one that needs to, and it does happen, but the feminine is the one that gets an ass whooping from the spirits. I see that very clearly, and I'm so sorry, girl. I don't normally come at you like this. So I'm going to read two. There's three here, but the masculine is so okay, I can just skip him. I'll read the combined energy. The masculine will get it there. And the feminine, I got to read you your energy. Let's start with you, girlfriend. Number one, start from the beginning. Card number one, Beyond Death, Life. And this is the Rumi Oracle by Alana Fairchild. We'll be reading from page number 20, Aha, Judgment Awakenings, okay? And it says, footprints lead to the shores of the sea. Beyond that point, no trace remains. I'm calling to you, beloved. Do you hear me? Listen. With your heart, my darling, there I speak. My voice rings true. You are urged beyond what has been. The time has come. Lay it to rest now. The ending comes as grace to free you from all that you have known. For what you have known is now too small for your soul. Bear your uncertainty with equanimity. I am certain enough for both of us. Allow me to show you the light that you are, that burns within you, blazing angel of heavenly purity. I will unveil you to yourself, undressing your ego, casting aside its layers, as tender as a lover, with unwavering attention upon the sacred body of light. You shall know yourself in truth as pure beyond all experience, untainted, ever innocent, as a pure vessel, stripped bare, ready for the divine revelation, as light, as life, as love. So what am I getting? Well, there's content here. I'm not familiar with this card. I do see that you're finding your light in the darkness and you're finding guidance. I was detecting that there was a lot of uncertainty and emotional flip-flopping because of fear. Easily spooked. And there was a lot of preoccupation with the why of the why, the why of the why, mislabeling, misjudging, misperceiving. So there was a miscarriage of connection, a false start, failure to launch of this union here. And it was fine because it was all in divine timing. So now you can look back and see the errors when before you would look back and you would only see things to be more fearful of. And this is to the divine feminine. Let me continue reading here. The soul creates variety because it leads to wholeness, and wholeness leads to divine revelation. The purpose of the soul incarnating in this world in the first place is to realize its divinity through the sacred crucible of life. The older the soul, the closer to this realization of divine oneness, and the more powerful its determination to shed that which would constrain complete and conscious immersion into the divine presence. So here you are, and also at the edge of something you have known, at the cusp of an ending and a beginning. Perhaps you're already in surrender and falling in, or perhaps you are fearful and resisting as you reach your unknown destiny. Yet this moment is happening because your own divine soul has chosen for it to be this way, so that love may grow. There's no punishment in this ending, nor is there anything to fear. There may be pain, there may be grief and loss, there may be uncertainty and even insecurity. Yet you have a big heart, big enough to bear such growing pains. Your heart is even big enough to receive the joy that is lying, waiting for you as you stumble across her in the course of your clumsy, inspired travails into this new life. You can scoop her up in your arms and spin her wildly about as she delights in your embrace, throwing her head back and laughing, her vibrant, contagious laughter, filling you with exquisite ecstasy. Yes, you shall know the truth, the knowledge that the divine is with you, guiding every unfolding moment of your life journey, no matter how dark it may first appear. The divine is with you in unflinching generosity, with compassion and with fierce passion for your blossoming into all that you are and all that will be, all that you can be. But yeah, I was getting all of that, but I was not doing such a great job as Alana was here, saying that you grow through what you go through, and all the mistakes that are made. I'm getting that Kate Bush song, all the things I could have said, but I never said, all the things I could have did, but I never did, all the things that you wanted from me, all the things that you needed from me. Make this hurt, make this uncertainty go away, make it go away now. Give me this one chance, give me this one moment back, give me that little piece, that little kiss. It's like that Six of Cups in reverse. You're never gonna go back to those moments in life, and if you can go back to those moments in life, you'll never go back to that level of innocence, that level of purity. But you grew through all of these because when you were making those mistakes, when you were making those infractions, you were innocent. They were coming from an innocent. There was no maliciousness in your heart. Okay, but now as you mature, now as the innocence leaves, as you open up your eyes, you realize that you're always covered in the divine grace of the beloved, of the creator, and you were led to this place where you are now. It might have been clumsy and bumpy along the road, and it might have been heartaching and heartbreaking as you come to realize the things that are missed, the missed opportunities, the false starts, the failures to launch. But they've given you now you've come now to yourself, and you're at the beginning. Number one, you're at the beginning. Page 20, aha, the trumpet's being rang. Okay, so now let's read number 34 on page 150. Layla. If I ever have a daughter, I do want to name her Layla, but a different spelling. I just love the name Layla. I truly, genuinely love the name Layla. And I love this. I love the cosmos. I love the galaxies. I love the whirling stars. This is just beautiful. Number 34 is the goddess sitting on the throne for me. Put aside your clever schemes, oh lover, be mindless, become mad. Dive into the heart of the flame, become fearless, be like a moth. Turn away from the self and tear down the house. Then come and dwell in the house of love, be a lover, live with lovers. Clean your chest from all hostility, wash it 7 times, and fill it with the wine of love. Be a chalice for love, be a chalice. You must be all love to be worthy of the beloved. When going to that gathering of drunks, be a drunk, become drunk. Your thoughts take a course, dragging you in its wake. Move beyond thought. Let your heart lead, be the leader. When the grace of love is revealed, be a mirror to reflect it. When the beloved's hair is loosened, brush it like a comb, be a comb. Come undone is what I'm hearing, because the rigidity of who you had to be to survive what you've gone through and where you came from is blocking out, because this love is designed to heal you, but in order to heal you, it needs to take you to higher vibration. And see, you're holding on to things. Who you are right now is well suited for low vibration, but who you are right now is not well suited for high vibration. You have to let the mind go. You have to let the rationality go. You have to understand that love is a vehicle, it is a vessel, it is the answer, it is the key, it is the mystery, it is the code, it is the everything. The divine is most experienced in love, not lust. And lust is the thing that wants to make things other than what they are. It has a physical manifestation, not a spiritual one. Lust in the spiritual is love. Love in the physical is lust. Clean your chest from all hostility, wash it 7 times, and fill it with the wine of love. Follow the love. How I long for my thoughts to no longer make any sense to me, then I can rid of them. Like a noisy house guest who has overstayed their welcome. Oh, the peace when they finally go. Their incessant chatter brings me no comfort. I crave the silence of you. Will you let me hear it? Will you let me run through the noisy house of my mind with your great muddy feet, so that I can focus on something other than my mind for a while? Maybe you can make such a mess that I shall give up my plans and attempts at order completely. Just give in for a change. It is time for that. To give up my ridiculous fantasies of perfection. Useless, noisy, irritating, demanding, and yet deadening perfection. I would rather just be alive. I want to plant my head in the earth, in the same mud that sticks to your feet, and breathe in her rich soil smell. I want to feel her heart beating in the quiet movements of the roots of the plants as they stretch and grab and stop my ears from her fertile dirt, finally gaining peace from the constant and fertile racket of thoughts no longer wanting. This is like, so I'm even getting my own medicine. And normally I watch like a week later to get my own medicine. I understand what it is to be strong in the self and to be orderly and disciplined and have a practice and everything. But also, it's evolve or die. So make sure what you're holding on to is growth, transcendence, illumination, invigoration, enlightenment. You can't enumerate more of the same, because more of the same, by definition, is getting worse. Because if you are staying the same in the universe, which is dynamic, not static, the dynamic universe around you is getting better, but you are staying the same, by definition, you're actually getting worse. So the divine is trying to get us out of the mind, trying to get us into the heart, trying to allow us to have a cup that can be filled. A lot of people are like, well, the glass is half empty. And then other people are like, well, the glass is half full. And nobody is saying, the glass is refillable. What do you want to do with this glass? Why does it matter if it's half full or half empty? Why can't you recognize that it's refillable? The glass could be whatever you want it to be. You can put whatever you want in the glass. The glass is a vessel for contents. What contents do you wish to fill this glass with? It's like saying, the integer is 4. Well, 13 plus negative 9 equals 4. So does 2 plus 2 equal 4. So does 1 plus 3. So does 4 minus 1. So does 5 minus 1 equals, 4. Why do you want to get to the integer 4? What does it matter what road you take? So we know that we want love, but we're so focused on the things that lost or the feelings that are non-harmonic that we're not realizing that love is an orchestra with a couple bad chords. Love is a symphony with a few disharmonious cadences. Because love is the consistent improving, the consistent striving back towards the divine. Love is allowing the divine to wreck you, to break you, to ruin you, to destroy you, to remake you, rebirth you. That's what I'm getting. So like I said, we're entering in this cycle, being driven back to this connection. Because we leave this cycle moving to higher ground in a way that strives for individuality. But you can do individuality together because you have the 10 of Cups and you have the 10 of Pentacles. You have emotional fulfillment and legacy building here. The challenge, the conflict, the crossing, the conundrum. The conflict here. There's a foundation of sadness, dispersal. There's been loss as a consequence of beliefs and actions. And the sacrifice to be made is to move into happiness and fulfillment because it's actually been here all along. This connection y'all need to do the work. The creator came through, but it's karma. Y'all need to move through this karma. It's very clear to me. It's been clear to me from the jump. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege and the pleasure to do so. If anything that is said resonates deeply with you, go ahead and check the link in the show notes. Until we meet again, until we read again, namaste, dandava, and ashe. Bye, everyone.